All right, guys, Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge. This is going to be an honest review of this brand new device from the guys at Samsung. This is going to be a fanboy-free, no holds barred, no punches pulled look at this brand new flagship device from Samsung. So stay tuned for an honest look at the Galaxy S6 Edge. First of all, let me tell you how ridiculously excited I am about this phone. This is probably the best Samsung device I have ever seen, ever laid eyes on, ever held, ever used in my life. Probably short of the original Galaxy, which blew me away back in, I think that was probably 2009, maybe 2010, which was basically when I realized that Android was for real. Samsung had done a lot of copying of Apple, and they released the original Galaxy. And it shocked the world in terms of what a new smartphone could look like that took some cues from the guys over in Cupertino. Anyway, long story short, Samsung has gone sort of out of its way here, out of its element to produce a phone that is completely different than anything else it's made in the past. If we look at the Samsung Galaxy S5 here, this thing feels cheap compared to the new Galaxy S6 lineup. The Edge, we'll get into the hardware in a minute to talk about what exactly makes the Edge so great, but just when you look at these two side by side and when you pick them up in your hands, this thing screams premium. This thing screams at the top of its lungs, pick me up, hold me, love me, touch me, feel me, and this thing basically screams for the trash can. You know, I've always complained about the cheap, flimsy, plasticky garbage that Samsung has produced in the past. I take all of that back now when looking at the Galaxy S6 and the Galaxy S6 Edge. They have done a phenomenal job in terms of their design, their production materials, the build, the fit, the finish, the way the phone feels in your hand. Stunning, completely revolutionary in terms of anything else that Samsung has built in the past. And so overall, you can tell I'm pretty excited about this phone. This is the black sapphire color. You can see that it's a dark blue, but in the light it does sort of glisten in terms of its blue color. And so that in and of itself is kind of a unique characteristic. Samsung has also designed a gold model, a white model, a green model of the Edge, which I'm sort of excited to see. But for our review, we have a blue model right here. So let's jump into the design of this phone and just talk about the sort of physical elements of it and what makes it so great. First of all, 5.1-inch display, which to me is a little bit big. It's a hair big. I kind of prefer like a 4.7-inch screen, but you know, overall, the overall build of this phone is actually smaller than the S5, and so that makes it a little bit more easy to control in one hand. And so I am a fan of the actual sort of shape and build of the phone. It's kind of tall and long. Fits in my hand really well. I like the placement of the power button here and the volume buttons here. I think that that's a good fit. The Edge screen on the Galaxy S6 Edge is probably the biggest thing that's noticeable right away. You can kind of see that the screen sort of folds across over the edge of the phone. And so as far as the design of the phone goes with the Edge, considering we're talking about design, I actually am not a fan of that. I thought I would really like this phone. I thought it would be unique. I thought it would be something that's sort of different and, you know, just sleek and slim and attractive. And while it does look good, I don't know if it's necessarily worth the extra money. Point being, and I'll get into this a lot later, the biggest sort of design fail, I think, with the Edge is that your hand ends up touching the screen along the edges because the screen wraps around, because the touch screen goes all the way to the edge. When you hold onto the phone, you have parts of your hand actually touching the display. And so I've noticed that a lot of times when I go to pick it up, I will actually be pressing down on parts of the screen here when I don't intend to do that. And so that is something to consider. The other thing that I'm not 100% sure of just yet is how well case manufacturers are going to be able to adapt to this design of this phone. I'm sure they'll come up with creative ways to make it work, but it will probably ruin the sort of sleekness and the design of this phone as soon as you put a case on it. And so it's kind of a double-edged sword there in a way. You've got this really fancy, really awesome phone, covered up with a case, and it looks like crap. But anyway, so as far as the Edge design goes, I'm not a huge fan of it. I thought I would like it a lot more than I do. I'm actually probably going to get rid of this phone and pick up a standard Galaxy S6 instead. But getting away from that, let's just talk about what else is great about this phone. It is obvious, completely obvious, that Samsung has copied Apple with their sort of bottom layout here. I mean, this looks almost identical to an iPhone. One thing I wish they would have copied with the iPhone is actually a reversible USB Type-C plug here. That would have been great if Samsung had actually taken the lead and been the first one to introduce that. Another thing that they've copied from Apple is a simple, easy-to-use fingerprint scanner where you don't have to swipe anymore. This is fantastic. It works very, very well. It's very, very easy. It's fast. You know, the phone goes from locked to unlocked in a matter of seconds. It does miss occasionally, but so does Touch ID, so nothing's perfect. But it is rather quick and it's rather easy to use. Home button also feels a lot more responsive in this model. It's a lot more clicky, just has a really nice feel to it. It's not mushy like the old Galaxy were. This has got a definitive click to it. Standard capacitive buttons here with back and menu menu is now recent apps with the Lollipop. And so that is basically the same as before. Incredible display. I think the display is probably the nicest part of this phone. It is a quad HD display with like some insane amount of pixels, 500 something per inch. You'll never, ever, 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 ever see a nicer display than what's on this phone right here. They've dialed down the sort of super saturatedness of this phone. So while it is still Super AMOLED and it does still have that sort of pop to the colors, it's scaled back. It looks a lot better. I don't know what they did. I don't know if they've calibrated it better or if they've used different display technology, but it is amazing. You will be astounded when you pick up this phone and look at it. The display is fantastic. Other parts of the phone that are great: camera. The camera is 16 megapixels on the back, super sharp, super fast, great quality images. I can't speak highly enough for the camera. I mean, the quality is just outstanding, indoors and outdoors, low light, dark, outdoors, the zoom, everything about the camera is just great. You will absolutely love this phone. You will absolutely love the fact that the camera is reliable. For the first time ever, it's a fast camera in a phone that is easy to use, takes great pictures, and that you can count on sort of when the time is critical. When in the past with a lot of Android phones, you get hit or miss results. Galaxies are usually pretty good, but this one takes it up one notch more and just makes it incredible. So talking more about software now instead of hardware, we'll get into a little bit of what this Galaxy S6 has. Well, first of all, it's running Lollipop, Android 5. They have completely scaled back in their TouchWiz BS. For the first time ever, I think that I could actually use TouchWiz and not be completely infuriated by it. Primarily because you can actually remove or disable a lot of the built-in junk and bloatware. Example, here's some suite of T-Mobile apps. If I want to go and actually disable this app, I just drag it up here. I can hit disable and then boom, it's gone. So it's nice to be able to do that with a lot of the built-in bloatware. I don't appreciate the fact that there's this lookout security program in here. I think this is really, really frustrating that they integrate mobile security when I don't need it or want it. I wish they would just get rid of this crap. The prevalence of malware is not as great as people like to think it is, or like these companies like to believe it is for you. And this just takes up extra memory, uses extra system resources, and is in the way. And I would really like to see this crap, not happen. As far as like more sort of getting into TouchWiz and what they've done to get rid of it, which is a sad statement. They still have S-Voice, which is a pain in the butt. I would much rather use Google Now. They have changed the sort of settings a lot. The settings have been cleaned up from like 800 million settings like they had before now to only a few dozen. And so it's a lot easier to navigate through the settings of the Galaxy S6, which is really nice to see. You don't have to dive through, hundreds of settings to make a simple change in the screen. Other features of the software, specifically in regards to the Edge or the Edge screen settings, right? So you have this Edge lighting where you can like flip it over and it'll turn orange when you have a notification. You have the People Edge setting, which actually allows you to sort of create this tab, right? And you can actually read what it says here. But what it does is it creates a tab on the side of the phone, which allows you to get quick access to your certain individuals there. If I wanted to say make a call to my dad, I just click on his name and then boom, I can do that. Kind of gimmicky, I think. I think it's definitely reeks of a first-gen idea. It's cool, sure, but I don't think many people will use it. Another setting for the Edge, which I actually do like a lot, is the clock, which is really pretty cool. So the night clock you can actually enable and turn on, and it will give you an information stream, and it will actually show you the time of day. So if you have this thing next to your bed, you can actually see that anyway, you rest you rest the phone down like so, and actually the edge will light up with the time here, as well as some information here that is readily available if you just glance over at your phone in the middle of the night. So some neat little software features with the Edge model. I'm not really a fan. I think they're still sort of first generation. I think that maybe with time you will see an improvement in terms of what they can do and what's available on phones like this if they continue with the Edge. But it's a good try. It's something that people can kind of play with and get have some fun with. Is it worth the extra money for the Edge model to have those software tweaks? I don't necessarily know. I kind of tend to like the Edge model just for the design element, and I think that it's showy more than anything. Other software features of this phone that are pretty cool is it has the split screen mode, which you can actually like drag down from the top and actually create its own window. And so you can actually grab that like that, reposition it throughout where you're actually using it. And so you have kind of a multi-window like on the previous Galaxy phones, but this is a little bit different in terms of its sort of usability. You got smaller windows that you can kind of move around a la desktop on a PC. S-Health application still included, so you can use this thing to count your steps. It does have the heart rate monitor on the back, which you can use to take your heart rate. And actually, the other neat thing about the heart rate monitor is you can use it to actually snap pictures of yourself using the selfie camera on the front. Basically, just put your finger over it and boom, it'll take the photo. But overall, it's not a whole lot different than other Galaxies, I guess you could say, or even other Android phones in terms of its software. I mean, like I said, they've scaled down TouchWiz a lot, which is nice. It does have all the features and nice aspects of Android 5 Lollipop, but it's not anything majorly different than what you've seen in the Galaxy S5. The biggest difference, obviously, for this phone is the redesign of the hardware. And like I said, Samsung has a winner here, in my opinion. I think that they have made a complete 180 from their plastic construction into this awesome sort of unibody aluminum and glass feel. I'm still not convinced that this glass back is going to be robust to drops, or that the Edge model is going to be robust to bending and breaking when you drop it. But honestly, I think that if you take care of your phone and you don't drop it, you won't have problems, and you don't sit on it and you won't have problems. I don't think it's fair that people complain about things breaking when they're dropped. Take care of your stuff. Don't drop it and it won't break. So something that a lot of people have been complaining about is the fact that the phone only comes with built-in storage and a non-replaceable battery. Well, Samsung has made a 32, 64, and 128 gig model of this device, which is very, very spacious, if you ask me. It starts at 32 gigabytes. It's a lot of room. I don't think I would ever use 32 gigabytes, but whatever. It doesn't have any removable storage. Same thing goes with removable battery. And if the success of the iPhone is any indicator, people don't really give two craps about removable storage and removable battery. Sure, it's going to upset some people, but for the majority of us, a standard built-in battery is fine, and a standard built-in amount of storage is fine. They have actually enabled wireless charging, both QI and another standard here, so that's a new thing for the Galaxy S lineup. Basically, plop the phone down on a wireless charger, and you're good to go. They have also included a high-power turbocharger with their wall plug, and so you can actually charge the phone up really quickly when you plug it in using the built-in Samsung charger that comes with the phone, which is a nice feature to have. As far as what I think about the fact that the battery's built in and the memory's built in, I think it will inconvenience a very small minority of people, and for the most part, people won't think twice about it after they use the phone. One last complaint I have to sort of say about this device is the Samsung logo on the front and on the back. I think it takes away from the build a little bit. It's a little bit cheesy to have this big Samsung logo on the front and the big Samsung logo on the back. I don't know. I mean, obviously they want to advertise their phone, but staring at this, I don't know. It just bugs me. I think that it's huge. It's in the way. I think that if it was clean, it would look a lot nicer. If you look at the iPhone, for example, there's nothing on the front with the simple Apple logo on the back. Samsung could have done the same thing. They could have taken this stupid logo off and just kept it on the back there. But overall, I like it. Like I said, I like is too not strong enough of a word. I love it. I think it's a great redesign. I think Samsung has a winner here. So what are my final thoughts on this guy? Well, first of all, I think Samsung has tried and tried and tried sort of every year with either little design changes, like from the S4 to the S5, The S5 is waterproof. They've taken the waterproofing out of this, and so Samsung's sort of been testing the waters along the way with different sort of tweaks to their Galaxy lineup. But this is the first time in sort of history of the Galaxy lineup that they've completely gone away from the drawing board and started over. They've taken a lot of cues from Apple and Apple's success with their phones, and they have a winner here. This is the Android phone of the year, if you ask me. Now, as far as the S6 versus the S6 Edge goes, I'm not exactly sure it's actually worth the upgrade in terms of the cost. While the Edge model does feature some cute little software tweaks like that, and like the Edge lighting for your night clock, I don't necessarily think it's worth the extra money. It is showy, it is fancy. People will ask you about your phone, they will ask to see the Edge, they will ask you what you think about it, they will want to hold on to it. And so if you buy it for sort of the attention factor and for sort of the look at me factor, it might be worth it to you. It might be worth the extra bit of money. In my opinion, I think I'd rather just stick with the classic Samsung Galaxy S6. I think it's going to be a nicer phone just in terms of its usability and the money-saving features of it. But as far as the performance of the phone goes, the camera features, the build quality, the design, the sound, the operating system, just Samsung has a winner. I mean, this is the Android phone for 2015. If someone asks me what phone should I get, I'm going to tell them the Galaxy S6. I won't hesitate. I won't say, well, you might like this, but it has this problem. No, this is the phone for 2015, my friends. I haven't even looked at the M9, but I'm going to say that right off the bat. Don't hesitate. Go get yourself a Samsung Galaxy S6, whether it's the Edge model or the standard model. You'll enjoy it. Samsung has a winner here. Again, guys, I encourage you to check out everything else I have on YouTube and rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.